Hi, it's Jill Kaufman again, and I am very excited to be here with Heather Steer, who is a financial professional, and we are talking about taking control, preparing your finances for divorce. Heather Steer, Heather, welcome.
Hi, I'm glad to be here today.
Why don't you give a bit about your background?
Sure. I'm a certified divorce financial analyst and a certified divorce coach. I've been practicing for about 9 years, and I work with my clients as a strategic thinking partner throughout the world of divorce.
Awesome. Well, you are a perfect person to ask this question. Where do people start when they're starting their divorce in terms of finances?
It is the most overwhelming part of your divorce is getting financially organized. And so when I talk to my clients about this, it's being your own detective in your world. Now, people have varying understandings of what's going on in their financial world. So I tell them just to start gathering anything that has a number on it or has to do with an asset in your world. So things like get a hold of your tax returns, get a hold of your pay stubs, get a hold of bank statements, any sort of brokerage, financial accounts, any financial account, titles to their cars, deeds to their homes. I always have my clients run a credit report also because we tend to forget what's out there. And it's also a good place to understand if you even have credit in your name. And so those are good, just baseline places to start in gathering information.
And should they print out all of these documents or what should they do? Have
So
access?
Yeah, it's trying to figure out whatever you're most comfortable with is what I tell my clients. Some people like to print everything and some people like to do it digitally. So if you do like to print things out, then I encourage you to get a binder or like tabs to organize all the different kinds of statements, different financial institutions. And then for digital people, if you're downloading it, a lot of times when you download statements from banks and brokerage companies, then you need to retitle it. So I usually say like put for example, US Bank, CHK for checking, and the last four digits of the account number and the date the statement is from. And what you want to think about is when you're handing this information over to someone, how can they most efficiently get through the information? So you're saving time when you're handing it off to your mediator or your attorney or your CDFA or whoever it is you're working with so that they're not having to go open every file. There's a naming convention there that makes it make sense. So you,
Yeah, that's a
yeah.
great tip.
And you can do that in Dropbox and OneDrive and Google Drive. And I get handed all sorts of different share files from different clients. And I still have clients that come and give me their physical statements. So don't be, discouraged by what format you're doing it in. Just do it in what you're most comfortable doing it in.
And what if you don't have access to everything?
Then I say at least gather everything you do have access to and also write, just simply make a either a handwritten list or a spreadsheet that shows like financial institutions you're aware of. Like if you get mail and you say, oh, there's something from Chase or there's something from Fidelity, then go ahead and just write that down so that when you are gathering information, you're like, I thought we had an account or you had an account at these types of places. So it's okay not to have access to everything. And I wouldn't make that be an overwhelming part. It's very common, very normal. And so I just at least capture the concept that there was something there.
Awesome. Now, do you have any advice in terms of like how to project where you are financially and, how to handle what you need in the future?
Yeah, so there's a couple of things that are critical. I work in California, and so we have a key disclosure, which is your monthly, it's not your monthly, it's your income and expense declaration. But one of the key things in our world is understanding where you are currently and what is your monthly run rate as a married couple. And then also, I have my clients work on what is their post-divorce budget look like because one plus one doesn't equal two in the world of divorce. And so you need to start figuring out, what can you afford? And it comes in as a critical decision point on things around, do you want to keep the marital home? Or how is it that you want to do your asset division so that it makes sense for you financially after your divorce? So it is really important to start understanding your budget. And if you haven't used a budgeting tool, a lot of times your credit cards will actually have spending analysis that you can kind of use on their websites. Your banks usually have these. So if you can look at an annual spending report, I have clients go back, 3 years to kind of look at what their run rate is. Or I also tell clients just go through your daily life and start jotting down like what it is that you're doing, just to really think about all of these expenses. Because one of the critical things is you just don't need to think about what your mortgage or rent is and your utilities and kind of those recurring things. You really need to understand your lumpy expenses as well. So when you're looking at an annual thing, it's like, how much do you spend on Christmas or birthday parties or
Travel.
yeah, travel is a great one. Or your car expenses. We all need tires and oil changes and things like that. And so tire rotations, whatever it is that needs to get factored in. So those are the things that I'm telling people to kind of like brainstorm about, like what's going on in their world that, costs money, but maybe intermittently. Or pets are also a big one because they are very expensive over
Expensive.
time. Yep. And there's emergencies and all of that. So
Yeah. No, this is great. This is a great place to start for people. Is there any other tips that you want to share?
there's the only other thing I would add is there are monthly budget tools that if people want to start getting a handle on that, you can go out and look at Monarch Money, or You Need a Budget, or Good Budget is a more manual one, but it's a good tool, and that will start capturing information for you to understand, just from something that will help you, get your head around where it is that your money's going. So
Awesome. This has
yeah.
been great. You are on the Directory Divorce Network Pro, so you're one of our recommended professionals. And how else can people get in touch with you?
They can email me at heather@divorcetransitionmentors.com, or go to my website, which is also divorcetransitionmentors.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Of course. It was a pleasure. Thank you for having me.